Well, waves are kind of fun, aren't they? And been working on waves for a while, and I'll show you a few of them. And these are with regular commercial grade pro marbling inks. But today, let's try something with our Copic pens. Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline Studio. I'm Sybille Muschik, behind the camera is Joshua Blanc. So here we are with all these papers, and I've been sort of messing around with trying to get the wave. Now here's not a bad example where it's kind of wavy. And then there's where you have more edgy and like a crease. Here's more of the crease again and some waves. These are with the professional inks. You can see the intensity. Here there's a little bit of waviness, and then I think I got carried away and you end up with a white spot. That's not so good. It helps to have intense colors, but we're also going to be working with the Copic pens, and here's another one. And because you're lifting the paper up, I'll show you the method. It may go paler, which is also interesting. Now here we are with the Posca pens, and I got them to be a little bit more intense, which is great, and some waves that are sort of like creases. And this one is again Posca pen. And I think I had some copper in there as well. Can you see the sheen? Maybe a little bit. And here's a nice wave, but it's not so discreet, right? So we need to work in a way that we can see all the waves. Now here's one. This is with the Copic pens. And the paper kind of disintegrated on me because it's very wet. And some nice wave action here, but I think I pulled it aside too far. Still, it's interesting, and of course I have to crop it there. Then I think this is sort of the ultimate. This is what you want, is these nice waves like this. So, and this is both Copic, and although it's not really terribly visible, it's a lighter color, and my high flow ink, which is like a quinacridone red. Here's another one. Nice waves, and quite an interesting paper. Again, the Copic pens are there. You can see some of the color, but it's amalgamated quite nicely. Just Copic pens on their own, and not too bad for intensity on that one. I think this is when I first started. Waves are great. I think I had trouble with my medium, and so the paint was breaking up. This is back to our Posca pen. So there you go. We're going to try this. I've made a whole new batch of our sizing, and we'll post all the details on one of our earlier ones where I really go through all the sizing information and everything else, all the proper measurements. So now Copic pens are alcohol based, so they will not, if you dump them into the sizing, they're not going to do anything unless they have a little bit of alcohol. So I pour just a tiny amount. This is 70%. Not something to drink either. Isopropyl alcohol. So I add a little bit. And then I take my pen. Okay, and then you just dip it in. Try and get a bit of intensity. Now again, you're not going to use up all the ink in your Copic pens because, you're just using tiny little dots. So if you're buying them specifically for marbling, they're going to last a long time. Whereas the marbling inks, you know, they will dry on you, they do a number of things, and I think this is a nice way to work, and it's quick. Now you may not see much of anything happening for a bit. I have removed the top surface just with newspaper. It's called clearing. There we go. Starting to show up a tiny bit. Now the intensity isn't there, and later on in the video we're going to be adding some high flow paints just to show you when you do want it intense. The commercial marblers, of course, use the pro inks. They're specially formulated, and they work really well. They use a seaweed base, and you don't need to mordant the paper or whatever they use. Often they use paper that doesn't have a lot of sizing in it. Actually, I don't think it has any sizing, and so the paint really grips into the paper. And in many cases, people use things like silk. And you can see it's floating nicely because of the alcohol. Well, now it's starting to show up, see? I was doing a test earlier with a bit of blue, and that's showing up as well. We just keep our colors simple today. The whole point is to try and get that wave. Now, are you seeing this right here? Now we're getting there. If you add color into color, that also makes it more intense. Be careful not to use too much alcohol because you'll saturate the sizing and then everything starts to sink. As usual, our temperature in the studio is hovering somewhere around 21, 22 degrees. That's perfect. Anything warmer and your paint starts to break up. Like if you pass 25 or something like that. So it's not the type of thing you do out in the sunshine. Now that's going to be quite nice. These dots are your base that you start with for any pattern. Sometimes you leave it at dots, but in that case what they do is they use a tool that makes random dots in your size. Now you can see it's really showing up now. Okay, now we're going to add the blue. Again, a little bit of alcohol, just a touch. You don't need a lot. And we'll see if this shows up. We're just going to roar through the blue. You already know the procedure. Okay. Just wipe the tip a little bit and then I cover it up. We're done with the alcohol for a bit. Now we get to play a little bit. This came with one of the little marbling kits that I sent for. So you can do this. Now our size, it seemed pretty goopy, but it might be a little thin still. So just take your time with the pattern, or it will move too much and you lose it. Okay, try this one. And this is my favorite. I've put a dot where I've put the alum on it. That's called a mordant. And this is 8.5 by 11. It's just a copy paper, but it's hammer mill, so it's archival and good quality. So we're going to put this on here. Now this is how we're going to try and do the wave. So we put it down and then we move it a little bit. Put it down some more. Move it a little bit. And some more. Move it a little bit. And so on. The last part is tricky to do. Then make sure all your edges are down. You can run a little tool across, make sure that it's taken up the coloring. Then you just lift it up. And then you scrape the Calgon off the sides as far as you can. And there you have it. I don't know if that's in focus necessarily because I'm a little higher than that, but that's pretty good. And look at, we have beautiful waves. All right. So we put that last sheet in a bit of a water bath, just a little basin of cold water. Just run it back and forth a little bit and then let it drip a little bit, and then you put it on the towel and it will dry within a day. So that worked pretty well. I mean, it's not intense. We could, by adding more and more color in the drops, we might get it more intense, but don't forget the amount of alcohol the sizing will take is limited. After a while, you'll see if you have too much in the sizing, the paint will start to sink. Let's try a nice green. And then there's a nice ultramarine blue. That would be an interesting combination. And I'm using the Copic comes with 2 tips, but our brush is more useful. Again, a little bit of alcohol. I have all these little containers, yogurt containers. These came from the Chinese store, which I love. They're perfect. I didn't even buy enough of them. And then for those of you who do pouring paintings, you can buy these little guys to, pour. So that comes in handy too. Okay, let's start with the green. And you can see green is quite intense, and it'll probably get more so as we... Now I won't talk through all this, so we can just roar through it. Just adding the alcohol to the little container. Well, this should be good. Now with the alcohol, the colors will travel. That means the little dots expand quite a bit. I've got the green in there already, so the green will want to push the blue back. That's why you see the dots are getting large and then contracting again. So that means we're getting close to the saturation point. Okay, so we have a little paint left over, and what we can do is just flick some of that here and there to get more of a stone pattern. It won't have quite the intensity of it coming from the brush. And let's add a little of the brown to that too. And we'll do some flicking with that as well. It's just like I got the right tip here. So I don't know if we can flick with this thing. Not as effectively, okay. We'll use our little stylus. It's just a little skewer for barbecuing. Now this one should be an interesting print. This is just the stone pattern. And again, we'll try and do the wave. Okay, so the trick is to just move it slightly, down a little bit, move it slightly. And it's tricky with this heavier cardstock paper. And make your corners sink. Check on air bubbles. Set. If you have a bubble underneath, it shows up as a white spot in your paper, which you don't really want. You can see it if it rises in certain areas. Okay, and then we bring it up. We'll see how that Prussian blue worked. Scraping off the sides of the Kelgan. Whoa. Okay. So the wave isn't distinctive, but it's there. The colors are pretty good. Have a few little spots. I don't know if we can get, might be able to wash that off. Okay, and then into the water. As usual, we'll be showing everything at the end. So be sure and stick around to the end. And if you're liking what we're doing, we post videos twice a month and look at a lot of different materials. We do a lot of experimenting. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you lots more content. It helps us a lot. Okay, now what? Now I promised you I would work a little bit with just plain golden, the high flow. This is fluid acrylic. We'll try a little bit of burnt sienna. Now I don't really want to add alcohol to the fluid paints, but because there's probably a little bit of alcohol in the makeup, we can try. And you can see the intensity right away. I'm not going to put a lot in. And that should be enough. And then let's go back. This one turned out really well. The brown is good and the dark blue is good. And then we'll see if there's a reaction with the high flow. A little bit of chemistry here. I think I snoozed through most of my chemistry classes, and I kind of regret that now. And I wasn't really very happy doing things like balancing oxygen. I got it eventually, but all those formulas and equations, and I was more into painting. And doing posters and things. But hey, this stuff comes in handy. It's good to have it in the back of your head. I had really great teachers, so they kind of kept me on the straight and narrow. And I don't know if that's showing up at all. Don't you just love it when you have these rings showing up? That's so cool. Trying to get the color to show for you. Not easy. Okay, I'm using this tool in a slightly different way. That is very cool. And I'm not left-handed, but it works that way. All right, let's see if we can just maybe get a really interesting shape here. Are we going to get the wave? I don't know. We might get some trees. Wonder what our trees will look like. Now your heavier paper, like if you're using drawing paper, is far more effective than just copy paper, which will, it's maybe a little more difficult to work with, but it holds its shape, won't tear on you. See, it doesn't take long for the image to be, if there is an image. Oh yes. Well, look at this. Now the little bit of the blue has shown up, but it's very subtle. And we have trees, I guess. So you can see that the mordant on the paper really does make the paint stick. So even putting it in the sink, I haven't used my high flow and fluid acrylics for a while. So we're just adding a little bit of alcohol to this, and then we're just going to flick it into our sizing. Trying not to saturate. Oh, it didn't sink. Huh, it was a big drop. And more, I'm just going to put this in directly, just a drop. Oops, that one's going to the bottom. And I could do the same thing with this one, is just to add it to one of the little cups and add some alcohol to it. And we might do that with this one. This is a very high intense color. And it's also a little on the opaque side, which means it has some white added to it. So if it doesn't sink on us, that will be a bonus. So you at home can, you know, try a lot of these experiments and to see what inks work for you, what doesn't. Well, this works quite well. The alcohol helps. You see that one sank to the bottom. There's maybe a little too much alcohol right there. And our yellow maybe didn't mix it enough. So it's just floating like an island on top of the surface. So I don't know if it's in there at all. But it should give us a nice wave. Okay. Make sure we put our lid on. Now if we use the Copic pens now, I think they're just a little too subtle. And I don't know about getting this. See, you could lift this right out of there. Or push it to the side. And then do something nice with this pattern. And just a simple pattern, and see if we can get the wave. So So push it down and then move it slightly. And we didn't pick up that little blob in the corner there. It really helps to scrape the Kelgan off, and it doesn't do anything to the pattern. Now, do we have the wave? It's a lovely pattern. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. It's not as distinctive right here, right there, and there as some of the other ones. And our yellow showed up to some degree. And some of the brown that was in there already, so okay. Well, for our finale here, we're going to add some copper. This is Liquitex Soft Body Acrylic Rich Copper. We do have to mix it quite a bit with the alcohol. I've added a little bit of burnt sienna on the bottom to give it a little bit of intensity, and also so it will show up as you're watching. Let's see if that, oh yes. Okay, so we're just going to drop it in, drop-wise. Everybody needs a little bit of pizzazz in their life, right? A little bit of glimmer, some iridescence, whatever. Okay, now we're going to use our Copic pens again. Much of the intensity as we can manage. So this should be quite effective. You know, orange and blue are opposites, and copper is very orangey. Squeaks. We didn't have any squeaks before. Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Well, it squeaked before.
Did it squeak before? Josh is telling me it was squeaking. Okay, I believe you. Maybe a few little drops. This is not high intensity. So now we know that Copic pens will work with marbling as well as Posca pens. And our high flow acrylics and medium viscosity acrylics. Well, regular acrylics as well, of course, but you just have to add a little bit of alcohol to it. Now, the professional marblers use ox gall, and you can use it too with the other marbling, you know, when you get them with the kits. You can add a bit of ox gall to them, or they send you a medium, and I'm sure there's ox gall in there. And of course, ox gall, the poor cattle are not subject to this gruesome problem of having their livers mangled. It's all artificial now. Now, can we do a nice pattern here? And this one goes this way nicely. And And just for good luck, a little bit of this. Okay, we'll take the chance. This is actually copy paper. Again, hammer mill, which is really good. It bends a little bit more, as you can see. I don't know if we'll be able to manage not having it rip. We're really lucky. Maybe get it into the pattern really quick, and then we won't bother putting it into the water. Just scrape it off. There we go. It's quite lovely. We do have a couple of waves. So, and when it dries, it you know, will be a little bit more effective. All right. We'll just give this directly to Josh. Well, my sizing is still in good shape. I may go and do lots more marblings. I have a few more papers, but I think it's enough for now. But and be sure and try it, and don't forget to give me comments about how the process went with you and what you experimented with, if you're using inks or other mediums. If you'd like me to try a medium that you think might work, I'm happy to experiment, as always. So take care of yourselves and your families, be kind to one another. Bye for now.